Okay, so I'm going to do chapter 9, number 6. So we're going to refer to scenario and problem 4 using the file blue or red. We're going to create a standard partition of the data with all the tracked variables and 50% of observations in the training set, 30% in validation, and 20% in test. Then we're going to apply the random trees procedure to create an ensemble of classification trees using age, homeowner, female, married, household size, income, education, and church as input variables and undecided as the output variable. And then in step 2, we want to be sure to use the normalized input data. We're going to do the number of weak learners to 20. Randomly selected features is going to be 3, and the minimum number of records is 100. Then we're going to see what is the most important variable in terms of reducing the classification error of the ensemble. And then for the default cutoff value of 0.5, compare the overall error rate, the class 1 error rate and class 0 error rate of the random trees on the test set to the corresponding measures on problem 5. But we're not going to do that. I'll just tell you if they're higher or lower because you're supposed to do problem 5. So let's go to Analytics Solver. Okay. Now, one thing with these data sets being 10,000 lines long, that's a huge set of data. So it probably goes quite a bit faster if you have a PC and you actually download Analytics Solver and put it into your Excel and then plug it in that way. If you're doing online, due to the fact you have a Mac, it's going to look like your computer crash or it crashes a lot. But what it is they're such huge files, it just takes a lot of time. So throughout this, when I hit go, sometimes I'm going to be pausing and letting it do it so you don't just sit there and listen to me doing nothing for 2 to 5 minutes at a time. So we'll go ahead and import this. Now, sometimes even importing it can take quite a while due to the fact it depends on your download speed and upload speed on your internet, things like that. Now, I found that if you do get this unresponsive script, if you say don't ask me again and say continue, then it usually lets it go and it works fine after that. So we can let it do that, and now we can see that, it looks like we have all 10,000 lines in. Now we can do our first step, which was partitioning, and it said do the standard partition. Let's just overwrite everything. Don't know what's in there. All right, here comes the partition information. All right, so we're going to use data, and we're going to use all of the data items as selected variables. And I think it also depends on how many people are online doing the same calculations, so their server probably gets hammered, especially at this time of semester when everybody's doing the same things. All right, so now we need to go down. We want to specify percentages. Usually when I click that, it gives a 50, 30, 20 like it's supposed to be, and we just click OK. Now is one point where we start waiting. We're going to do the standard data partitioning as processing it, and that takes a little while, and then pretty soon it takes, a minute to 2 minutes to actually load it here. So I'll go ahead and pause while it finishes. Okay, so I'm back, it's finished, and now we have the data partition here at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that, and what we usually want to do is we want to click on one cell within all the data that's been partitioned. And that way, when we do our next calculation, it's sure to go into that cell. All right, so we were supposed to do a random tree procedure, and so we'll go to classification tree, random trees. And while that loads, we want to be sure to put the undecided as our output variable. But first, remember when it says data set, now you have 2 data sets. You have the data and you also have the data partition, which is what we just finished. All right, so undecided goes to our output. And then the rest of the data actually goes into selected variables. So then we have those done once it goes over. This is all okay, so we click next. Now at the top, we want to be sure to normalize the input data. The number of weak learners, it said, was going to be 20. We wanted 3 randomly selected variables, and our minimum number of records was going to be 100. Okay, so next. And now we want to have, I'm going to go ahead and put detailed report on everything. I don't know, maybe that takes longer, maybe this makes it crash more, but that way I don't have to go back if there's something missing that I need to have. So then I say finish, and when I do that, I'm going to go ahead, and you can see it's working. I'm going to pause until it gets done. Okay, so it popped up on my tabs here at the bottom. Now, one thing when you note, when you do this, if it says calculating here with like 3 dots after it, and it says calculating, don't do anything with your computer yet, because it's having to calculate all the things that are formulas within the different tabs here. And so if you start moving around, then it's going to crash. So just let it go. I think it took me about 7 minutes to let it do all the calculations. And then once it's done, now hopefully everything's going to work. So going over here to output, it asks us to find the let me go back here. I lost the page. Well, the most important variable in terms of reducing the classification error. So this output is where we go. And so probably the best thing we need to do is, let's make this one larger so we can kind of see everything. And so this is the details of the random tree ensemble. And what we want to do is we want to see what are the most important items. And it tells us this is the importance, this is the variable. And it lists them in decreasing order. So the highest importance is education at 0.9. And as we continue over, we go to 0.8, 0.7, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.3, and then 0.1. And so for the answer to the first one, education would be the highest. Now it says we want to find using the test data. So now we have to go down to test data. We need to find the percentages. So we should be about there. And it's the error report. And so we want to see the different percent errors. So for the class 1 error, it's about 19.6%. For the class 0 error, it's about 1.08%. And the overall error is 8.4%. Now, based on these numbers and what I know for the answer for number 5, which is what it says to compare it to, these are way worse. And so what you find in number 5 is a much better form of the data mining compared to what we just did here with the random tree procedure. So that's all it asks for. So that's all I'm going to kind of show you, because there's so much more. You know, you have all these items down here we could go through, but really those other items are not necessary for the problem they ask us to do. So I hope that helps with at least answering question number 6.